All right, it's media day. We are diving into one of our last two districts, 23-6A. I'm talking to Goose Creek Memorial head coach Daniel Ragsdale, who jumps up from 5A to 6A and gets rewarded with the District of Doom, or whatever you want to call it, the district of teams that go 3 to 4 rounds deep every single year that makes the playoffs. Coach, and you're coming off of a year where you went 1-9, and you're a younger squad. You had a lot of graduation in there too. Man, taking all this in, you knew you were going up to 6A. You probably had an idea where you were going to go. But when realignment came out and you saw where you're headed, you told me off camera you're kind of excited. Talk to me a little bit about your initial reaction to your new district.
Initial reaction was just like everybody else's reaction. It's just like when you're kind of hoping, you're anticipating going up, but then you say, okay, the reality is the last time GCM went up, they were in a district with North Shore, and that's because I was there.
Right,
so that's probably not going to change. The biggest difference is now you add Humble to the mix, and
right.
and you add T King to the mix, of course, and it makes a little bit different animal with how things have grown on that side. So initially, it was a little bit of a shock, but I mean, when you step back and look at it from my perspective, because I get to do that. Our kids have been competing against, these teams right here on the east side from the middle school up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And with the group that we have right now, this young group coming up, they don't have any fear in them. I mean, they're a little bit different than some of the other groups I've been around that would probably shy away from it. You know what I'm saying? So they're embracing it. So you don't have a choice but to embrace it if they're taking that kind of attitude. So they're excited. I'm excited. The new district, new challenges, they're excited. I think the biggest part that they're excited about is, and I know a lot of kids don't see it this way, and I know a lot of coaches don't see it this way, but these kids are excited about being able to play against some of the best talent that you can possibly play against. They're excited about that. That excites them. And I'm excited right there with them.
I was going to say, if anything you take out of the year, regardless of what the record ends up being, they can always go on and say, hey, we played against the best talent that not only the Houston had, the state of Texas has out there. And they'll be able to pinpoint a couple, 2, 3 of these players and say, hey, you saw them on Sunday, youngster, when they start having kids. Well, I played them on Friday, so don't worry about that. Let's talk about your squad for a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know, we can juggle two terms, a rebuilding year or youth movement. I think you probably prefer maybe youth movement because you don't ever really want to rebuild. You want to keep competing all the time. So,
it's not necessarily rebuild; it's building. I mean,
building
because I mean, like I say, our young group, and I tell everybody this: our promise is in our youth. These young kids are different, and it's kind of like you said. I mean, regardless of what the record might end up being, they're going to be better for it because they're growing up. When you grow up amongst lions.
right.
You'll find out if you're a jackal or not real quick. So,
I like that.
So they're a group, and I feel like they're young lions. I think they're ready for it. You know what I'm saying? They feel good about playing some of these other districts in their youth when they were in middle school and coming up. They don't have any fear about it, and neither do I. I feel good about them. If I have a concern about them, it's because they are so young. You know what I'm saying? We have a bunch of juniors and seniors. Juniors and sophomores we're going to throw on the field, and they're going to have to grow up. Some places have the luxury of keeping them down, and we don't. Our numbers just aren't like that yet. It'll get there. We'll be fine.
So let's talk about where your eyes go as far as when you look at the spring practices and you got practices coming up. Where do your eyes go as far as, okay, I'm happy with right here. I like what I got right here. People don't know about these kids maybe, but this is what I like. Where do your eyes go there?
Well, I think that in a general standpoint, it goes to this is the first year that I've been here that we have true depth at the quarterback position. Now they're all young. But we have 3 to 4 guys that are playing that position now that it creates competition amongst them. And they're excelling because of the competition amongst them. You know what I'm saying? We've not had that here. It's either you got one, and if he don't perform, then there's nobody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now you've got 3 or 4 guys that are all competing for a spot, and it just brings out the best in each one of them. Our receiver positions are more stacked. Of course, like I said, they're all basically offensive. They're all sophomores.
Right.
We have a couple of juniors mixed in there, and they're going to be okay. But the good part about the whole mix of it is it works because our youth is extremely excitable, and they mix well with the group of talent that's ahead of them. You know what I'm saying? Kids like Matthew Thomas and Caden McZeal and at those skill positions, along with some of the other juniors that we're bringing back, we're going to be just fine in terms of that. They just got to grow up, you know. But like I said, and I talked to them the other day. I mean, there's no better place to grow up than where you're going to grow up.
Yeah.
You want to be good, then let's get good, get as good as them. Because the reality, this is if, from a coaching standpoint, we get where we need to be. And it's like you said earlier, the fourth place team in this district went 3 rounds.
Right.
So if you find a way to beat the fourth place team, no matter who you are, maybe us, Humboldt, Channelview, whoever it is, chances are you're going to do pretty good in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. And you mentioned sophomore and junior a lot. The best thing about sophomore and junior is they're going to be junior and senior at some point. So you are going to get that experience. Now, when these practices start up, and when this airs, the practices have already started. Where are you kind of patrolling around looking for somebody to jump up and become a leader in a position where maybe you're a little bit nervous, like I'm not quite sure who's going to be that guy? Where are you going to keep your eyes on for these couple weeks before the season starts?
It's still a quarterback.
Still quarterback?
It's still a quarterback. Yeah, it's still a quarterback on the offensive side of the ball. I think that when you're right at that position, it makes a lot of other things right. To be honest with you. I mean, I've been in some situations, like I said, where it was not, you didn't have that competition there to bring out the best version of somebody. And all of a sudden you're kind of dealing with a guy that's not really ready for it, but he has to be ready in the moment. Now you keep an eye on that position and how they're pushing each other and how they're progressing and things like that, because you know that if you get it right at that position, it's not that it can cover up everything else, but it can have a potential of making everything else right. On the defensive side of the ball, I think that I'm keeping my eye mostly on the safety position. I mean, how we come down, how we strike, how we're able to get on the perimeter and run the ball from that position is going to be, in my mind, a big deal to going into the district we're going into.
Now, finally, you'll have 3 district games or non-district games before you hit district play. Who do you got in those games, and what do you hope to get out of them going into this district of doom?
Well, it's more the same here. They told me that we need to keep this whole Baytown rivalry thing going, and that's what we're going to do the first 2 games. So we got Sterling in game 1, we got Baytown Lee game 2, and then game 3 we have Clearbrook, which I think it'll be 3 games for us to get our feet under us and going into that first district game against Kingwood. Figure
out what you got. I got you.
What you got, man.
Perfect. Hey, good luck to you. We'll be out to see you at least once or twice this year. I appreciate you joining me, Coach, man, and good luck when the season comes around, which is only a couple weeks.
I know it, man. It's coming, isn't it?
It is. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Down here with no breaks, baby.
Thanks a lot, Coach. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, you have a good one.